episode of the Reserve Man Podcast. Brown, I got with me GP.
What's happening?
There's no Shagari. What's up, Stan?
Whoa, what's good?
We have with us future District Judge Will Jorden.
What's happening, everybody?
We're going to talk a little bit about his background, about why he went to law school, what made him become a prosecutor, and why is he now running for District Judge in East Baton Rouge Parish. We're also going to get him to drop his top 5 black sitcoms. And guess what's not better than Martin?
But it's in the top 5, though.
And I guess we got a black prominent figure, too. That is so much more right after this.
You know your credit score, man. I'm not a that's solid quality time. Right. Why is Steve Harvey still writing books when it's Wall Street? Wait a minute. Like, if I want you, I ain't saying you to Waffle House at 2 a.m. Cause you bullshit. Hey, look, I care about you. We going to Waffle House.
All right, everybody, we have a great show for you today. But first, if you have not already done so, however you're listening to us, whether it be Google Play, Apple Music, Spotify, go ahead and subscribe. You like our content, you keep listening. So go ahead and subscribe right now and share it with a friend. Today we have Will Jorden with us, a local candidate here in East Baton Rouge Parish for District Judge. Will, why don't you introduce yourself, tell people a little about yourself.
That's what's up. Good evening, everybody. I don't know whatever time you're going to be listening to this. Good morning to y'all if y'all on y'all way to work. I know that's what time I normally listen to my podcast and all that. So I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I appreciate fellas, y'all in the room for having me on.
No problem.
As Jay said, my name is Will Jorden, William Will Jorden. I got to say that because that's how it's going to appear on the ballot. You know?
Right, no confusion.
Don't think I'm somebody else. But yeah, I'm William Will Jorden. I'm running for District Court Judge, Division L. Just a little bit about myself, real quick. I'm originally from New Orleans. I got people from the New Orleans area. I got people from North Louisiana. Went to McMain. I'm a proud, mighty Mustang.
Oh, you was around the corner from me.
That's what's up. Where you went?
I went to De La Salle in St. Charles.
That's what's up.
Right around the corner.
I got people, friends, family that went to De La Salle too. Graduated from McMain. Went to Millsaps in Jackson, Mississippi. And then from there, after a whole lot of working years and getting some good life experience and all that, went to Southern University Law Center. Southern University Law Center graduate. Went back to New Orleans and really learned the game, this lawyering game, how to try cases, if I must say so. I think I'm a pretty decent litigator.
Okay.
That's where I was a prosecutor, and I really learned how to do this thing. I was there for about 4 years before I came back to Baton Rouge, and I took a job as a prosecutor in Baton Rouge, and I've been prosecuting up here since 2014. And yeah, man, it was time. It was time for me to throw my hat in the ring. We're looking at the landscape and seeing what's up, especially with this division. And yeah, it was time. So that was that's the Cliff Notes version of who I am.
When you left off the football part of Millsaps, man, you tell the story, man.
I did. I figured y'all was gonna kind of get me back into some of that. But yeah, man, going into it, and this is probably the real interesting part of it. High school football player. I start with that at McMain. When I was at McMain, bro, we were making history at McMain. Like a lot of people, like this is in the late 90s. McMain was the type of, we really just got a football program, I want to say in like 95. All right. So building up these couple of years, we made the playoffs. I want to say it was my junior year and my senior year. So I'm like, we kind of helped change the culture there.
Right.
So I was a decent player, decent. And I had an opportunity to go on and play college ball. One of the schools that I was, well, not one of, the school that I was going to go to. I was going to go to Auburn. I was going to play outside linebacker at Auburn. That was what it was supposed to be. So for the LSU fans, hopefully y'all don't hate me too much for that.
But if
But,
they
um,
offer you nothing, we can't be mad at you.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, and that's real, you know.
As long as it
But
wasn't Alabama.
true. But even back then, Alabama wasn't that good.
It could have been
Alabama wasn't that
Alabama,
good.
and, you know.
So I'm just saying, y'all could have lived with that. Y'all would have been like, yeah, whatever.
Right.
But nah, man, I had the scholarship to go to Auburn, and I don't know if y'all remember. I want to say it was Terry Bowden, I believe, was the coach at the time.
His brother was the coach at Tulane.
Correct. And I want to say they got hit with some NCAA sanctions, lost some scholarships. Mine was one of them that they lost. So now you can imagine, Cat, all right, this is where I'm thinking I'm going to go.
Yeah.
And then now it's like February, March, and they tell you your scholarship gone. So what you going to do? Well, I got some partners that's going to take a ride up to Millsaps, Mississippi College, a couple of these schools like that. I take a trip. I kind of readjusted my game plan as it's kind of last minute. And I realized that the school got a hell of an education program. So we go to Millsaps.
Yeah.
Play all 4 years, do some pretty good stuff at Millsaps. So yeah, play linebacker at Millsaps, did a little safety work, it was kind of crazy, all of the stuff that I ended up doing at Millsaps. But yeah, man, I'll tell you this, the experience that I had at Millsaps, it helped make me the man that I am today. So, but yeah,
Stuff, bro.
play ball, man. You gotta play ball.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
So what made you consider going to law school?
All right. Now that one, I gotta be careful how I say this one, because I know people can kind of take things and they can run with them. But I mean, you know, we talking frank over here, so we gonna be real. It was after I graduated Millsaps. I'm with my uncle, who's a pharmacist. He had graduated from Xavier University, and he's a pharmacist. At the time, I want to say he was a pharmacist in Dallas, right? And he needed to take care of some business in Georgia.
All right.
So while we're riding, he says, nephew, come take a ride with me. So we get a rental car, and we riding up through the back roads of Alabama, of all places. Anyway, we get into Georgia, handle whatever little business we got to handle. On the way back, we're right outside of Enterprise, Alabama. I don't know if y'all are familiar with this little spot.
Nope.
It's a little podunk. The only thing they got in the area, I want to say there's like a naval base kind of nearby or something like that. But it's one of those little back roads. Now, of course, me and my uncle, we got a 6-pack of Heineken. So yeah, we was knocking a few back. Well, we chilling. We having a good time. We just relaxing, taking it easy, heading back. That was the crime that we committed. We was drinking and driving, all right? We got a couple of Black and Milds, because I did smoke Black and Milds back in the day too. So we see, as we're riding down the highway, look over to my right at this Shell station. And you know how you'll see the officer kind of just waiting like a little speed trap.
Right.
We see him. Uncle is like, you know, we weren't speeding, nothing like that, but he just observes him. We pass him by, no issue. Moments later, we see he pulls out of the gas station. All right? Think nothing of it, really. We've now driven for about 3 more miles down the road. This officer is still behind us. Now, obviously, you know, we're not speeding, like I said. We got the seatbelt on, all that's good. Eventually, he puts on his lights. He pulls us over. When he pulls us over, he comes up to my side of the car, and he starts asking me questions. Y'all all know these questions.
Yeah.
You know, what's going on? Where you going? Where you coming from? Where you from? You know, and then, like I said, we in a rental car. Cool. He then says, I smell marijuana. All right.
Black and Mild.
All right. I'm like, nah. I mean, you might smell a Black and Mild, but there's no marijuana in this car, right? No. All right. Well, let me ask y'all to do me a favor. Both of y'all step out of the car. So he takes me to the back of the car. My uncle is at the front of the car. And I find out later he talks to my uncle for a second. Then he comes over and talks to me, and he's just asking us different questions. And I get what it is. Well, I find out later what it is. You know, he wants to see if
Stories match up. Right.
You got it.
Right.
So as we standing there, he's asking us these questions. Again, I ain't thinking nothing of this because I know ain't nobody got no weed in this car.
Right.
I'm just like, whatever. And, you know, people have been pulled over by the police before, but this one is a little bit more intrusive, right? So then all of a sudden now, I look down the road in front of me. I see 6 more patrol cars coming with their license sirens. I turn around and I look behind me. I see 3 more behind me. So that's 6, 79, that's 10 patrol cars that have now swarmed of Enterprise. Exactly. That have now swarmed to this location. So trying to sit there, trying to stay cool with the whole situation. They get the dog to come around and start sniffing. They ask us for consent to search. I was stupid. I said, yes, y'all can. Yeah, that was stupid. You never tell them yes.
Right.
That's the answer. Everybody knows that.
Not everybody.
Not everybody.
It's good that you said
exactly,
that.
But that's the answer. No,
I
don't.
Say that after you've been through law school.
Right. It's like, yeah, I just don't consent to searches, and I'm a prosecutor, and I'm telling you that I just don't consent to searches. It's easy, right? It's easy to say that. So they come around with the dog. They actually go in the trunk. They do all this stuff, and of course, they find no marijuana. So now we've been on the side of the road. Now it's probably about. It started in the earlier evening because I remember the sun was out, and now the sun is going down. So we're still on the side of the road, and it's several hours. So now I'm starting to get frustrated and I'm upset. And the officer basically lets us know, well, we didn't find anything, but, you know, this is a rental car. And the way that the dog kind of was reacting, we believe that somebody may have transported marijuana in this car before. Then he went ahead to proceed to tell me about a story about how maybe a couple of weeks earlier, they made a big bust. One of the naval officers was transporting marijuana, and they caught him. Mm-hmm. Basically, he was letting me know that this was a hunch that he had. I see these guys riding down the street, down the highway. Let me pull them over and see if I can get in a rental car. Let me see what I can get. It wasn't until we make it back to, it might have been 65, I want to say, when my uncle and we finally said something about it, and it was like, that wasn't right. I don't know what it is that could have been done differently, but I know that wasn't right.
Right.
So to answer your question about why I wanted to go to law school, it was pretty much in that car ride when I'm sitting here with my uncle that done went to pharmacy school and he's subjected to this. Me, who just graduated from Millsaps, which people that know will tell you that's a great school.
Right.
It's still in that experience. And like I said, I've been stopped before, but nothing to that extent. Now, yeah, I wasn't dehumanized on the side of the road with handcuffs with a knee in my back, but I might as well have been. And I'm saying to myself at this point in time, what can I do to prevent this from happening? Because I know that what he did was wrong, but I didn't truly understand what was wrong about it. And I said, well, I need to go to law school. I need to learn my rights. I need to understand how to better prepare myself if I'm ever in this situation again. And that's why I said I wanted to go to law school.
Oh, wow.
I wasn't expecting that story.
Yeah, me either.
I wasn't expecting that story.
Hey, man.
That was a good one.
Well, hey, I'm glad you made it.
Right.
It's real. It's real.
Well, I guess what I like for people to understand is we need more people who've had that kind of experience to actually be judges and prosecutors. Because, you know, a lot of people think, you know, prosecutors only put people in jail, but they don't realize all the cases that y'all decide to dismiss, or all the second opportunities y'all give people.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I was going to bring it up. Based on his story, I was like, well, why become a prosecutor? But then I'm glad you said just what you just said because I'm thinking, all right, well, he'll be on the defense side. He's trying to defend people. So,
see, misconceptions all abound on this one here. Let me explain this to y'all. The most powerful person in any judicial proceeding is a prosecutor. I'm going to say that again. The most powerful person in any judicial proceeding is a prosecutor. That's the person that has all the discretion where they can decide if they're going to bring a case, if they're going to throw it out, whatever they're going to do. Right? So, coming through law school, matriculating through law school, I was in the clinic. All right? The criminal defense clinic. When you're in the criminal defense clinic, you get a client. People don't understand this. As a defense attorney, your ethical obligation is to represent your client to the best of your ability. People get that confused and they want to say, well, I'm seeking justice. No, you're not. You're doing right by your client.
Right.
Those are two different things. Now, somebody might try to argue with me later on the blogs or whatever, but I'm telling you, check the books, check the record, check the stats, check the Supreme Court of the United States, and they're going to tell you, no,
Right.
your obligation is to your client, not to some overall greater good, right? So when you understand that and when you realize that, I think that's when you can start to understand that your effect on an individual, on his well-being, his actual well-being, is limited, right? Because you might be a scumbag. And I use that term lightly in this case, but I don't use it in real life. But you might be a scumbag, GP. Charged with some real mess. But if I'm your lawyer, it's not my job to fix your scumbaggedness.
Right.
You
It's
understand
your
what
job
I'm
to keep me
saying?
off.
It's my job to make sure that that prosecutor does what he's supposed to do, that the laws are followed right, and that if they got any loophole, I make sure that we run through that loophole and you good to go. Because I need to make sure that I'm doing what's in your best interest. Not necessarily what's in your overall healthy person get you together. Now, if I decide to take an interest in you afterwards and I want to say, hey man, let me help you learn how to tie a necktie. Let me help you try to be a better man. Stop being a philanderer, man. You out here messing with all these women and stuff. That might not be good. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
If I decide to do that, that's not in my job description.
Right.
But let me tell you why that's different from a prosecutor. A prosecutor, you check his ethics. His ethics are to seek justice. His ethics, he represents, when they say the state, he represents the people. You know who else is part of the people? You. GP. The dude that somebody else just called the scumbag 5 seconds ago. You one of the people. So when I'm in the clinic and I'm representing this one little dude and I'm telling, in fact, it might have been a Southern University student, might have been my first client. And it was on a weed charge. Simple enough, right? And I remember how the dude came to court. And he came in, he was dressed real sloppy, stupid looking, like just crazy. I'm like, come on, man, what you doing?
Right.
You making your first impression before this judge. It might have even been before Judge Don Johnson, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm saying, your first impression is a lasting impression. You want to look like you got some sense about yourself.
Right.
The guy may have or may not have taken my advice, but it's little things like this, right? And that's when I'm starting to realize, man, it's like sometimes I feel like I'm talking to a wall, right? So then I realize, I start looking into being a prosecutor. Now, why I'm saying I eventually realized that that's the role of a prosecutor. But at first, I'm going to be honest with you, I needed to get some work experience, and the Orleans Public Defender's Office wasn't hiring me because I was from New Orleans. I don't know, that's what they said. Somebody told me that. They don't hire people from New Orleans for the Orleans Public Defender's Office. That's what somebody told me at that time.
Okay.
So they didn't want to holler at me.
Seems weird.
Yeah, that's what I said. But I ended up going to the DA's office. And that's when I start seeing how it actually works. The DA has the discretion to accept or refuse the charges. That's first. So anytime somebody is stopped on some bogus charges or it's just, real
Right.
real stupid. And it still comes from office, the DA can look at it and be like, no, we're not going to do this. Or even better, and this goes to what I'm saying about I can make you a better person. I can look at it. I can see that this is a misunderstanding. I can see how you may have faltered and fell out because we all slip every now and then. We all backslide every now and then. And now I can get with your attorney, or I could even get with you if you're a pro se defendant. And I can be like, say, man, I need you to take some of these classes. I need you to do some of this mitigation work. I need you to do something to show me that you're a better person than this one night. Because you can't judge somebody off of their worst day. If that was the case, then we'd all be in hell with gasoline draws on probably, right? So because I can do that as a prosecutor, I can affect in every case that comes through there. So a defense attorney got one case or two or three that day. I'm the prosecutor, man. I got them all.
Right.
So even before I even get to the judge, I can decide, nah, man, we're not going to deal with this. We're going to do something else. That's a great responsibility. So when I find out that that's what a prosecutor does, it takes me back on the side of the road that day.
Gotcha.
And now I can look at the reasons for that stop.
Right.
And I can see that right then. I'd be like, bro, you didn't have no probable cause. Now, I want you to get the bad guys off the street too. Somebody that's moving kilos of heroin. I don't want heroin in my community.
Right.
I don't want people fiending on the corners for that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Grandma getting a TV took by her grandson every time you turn around, or cousins breaking in the house stealing all the tools. I don't want that so he could feed his drug habit. So I got a problem with that. And then I definitely don't want you selling heroin out of grandma's house,
right?
Because the dope boy down the corner, who now it's a turf war type issue, he gonna send his people to come in and kick in the door. So now grandma done became a victim, or auntie done became a victim. People that's there that ain't got nothing to do with that. Mm-hmm. So I don't want that either. So it's a balance. So I do want the officer to be able to do his job, but I just want him to do it the right way. So you see what I'm saying? Justice isn't about does the end outweigh the means. That's the misconception that I think prosecutors, and this might be an older way of thinking, but I think the progressive way of thinking is, no. It's all about the real justice and what's right. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And I believe in that. So that's why I decided to be a prosecutor.
Well, that's why I said we need more prosecutors that have had your experience.
Bruh.
Because I was a public defender for 4 years, and not every prosecutor has
Nah, you right.
your
You right.
take on things.
I'm gonna tell you.
Some of them just want a conviction.
I'm gonna tell you like this. There's a couple of phrases that I can't stand. Well, he's a bad guy. I can't stand that. Well, some cases you just have to try. The reason why I don't like it is because people without the proper experience, you know what I'm saying, they can take that the wrong way. Now, I'm saying that I've only been a prosecutor for almost close to 10 years now, right? But I've tried a lot, and I've seen a lot. So there's a difference between, I truly believe that there's a difference between when I see a rape case, because all rape cases are hard.
Yeah.
Let's not get it twisted. All rape cases are hard. And what I mean by that is evidentiarily, right? Oftentimes rapes are committed in secret, okay? Especially if it's a child rape. A child can be raped, and I'm talking about 8, 9, 10, 13, 14, all of that can be raped by somebody that's closest to them multiple times throughout years. And then when it's finally reported, people will be like, all right, well, is there DNA evidence? Well, what you mean DNA evidence? It happened 3 years ago. And then she finally got the courage because there was an incident at school that triggered her, right? So what DNA evidence you expect to still be there? You know, that's, again, a misconception. It's the girl when she finally told the story. All of this trauma and the traumatic incidences that it actually was, she can barely even talk about it, right? So when she gives her recount of what happened, she is vague at best. She remembers the TV show Maybe that was on TV in the background when he was raping her, or the words that she can use depending on her age. She can only use certain words to describe it because it's based on her vocabulary. Nah, I get it. There's some people who say, well, Will, that just sounds like that's not a valid charge to move forward with.
Right.
In some cases, that may be correct. Like, I'm not just saying it from the standpoint of go prosecute. I'm saying it from the standpoint of either way, you have to weigh the evidence. And I feel like after you've done enough of these cases, after you have enough experiences, you can see which ones, I get it. For somebody, this might be difficult. But for others, I see it. No, I believe this victim. This one we have to try. You see what I'm saying? But I don't like that phrase because that phrase could just make it sound like go get them, hang them high. And I don't like that. I ain't never been like that. And then part of the thing that I'm also saying too, like you said, you public defender in different parishes or different locales. I'm big on, well, let's talk about these things. Like when I was in New Orleans, it was the same way, man. We get around the coffee machine in the morning. Let's talk about some of these cases. Let's change some of the way that you think about some of these things, and I think that's important. That's why diversity is big. Well, I don't necessarily see it that way, and let me explain to you why I don't see it that way. That's big to have black prosecutors in these offices across the country because they have to see it. I'm telling you, man, it's big. It's perspective, and somebody they might not necessarily have the worst intentions. You know what I'm saying? But change the perspective. I do see what you're talking about. I might be able to see that a little differently.
Right.
So But that's what I'm saying. There is a need. There is an absolute need.
I've seen the guy that gets a house putting people away in jail. I seen a guy that was giddy over a guy's mother crying because he was filing that fourth habitual offender bill and knew he was about to go away forever.
Look,
you know? So I mean, there's good and bad in everything.
Right.
There's scumbag lawyers, just like there's scumbag people.
It made me think about on a recent podcast, and you were telling me about how everything, I think it was when we had the hip hop doc on, and we were talking about how everybody's supposed to be independent of each other.
Yeah.
But it seems like sometimes everybody's ganging up to try to
I
convict.
told you, man. I was practicing in Vermilion Parish, and I was telling them that I heard the clerk one day say something like, "Yeah, we gonna get him." And I'm like, wait a minute, you're not a prosecutor. That's not your job. What are you doing? Issue subpoenas.
Right.
Whenever I hear that type of stuff, I'm like, all right, first of all, my attitude is ain't no winners and losers in none of this stuff.
Yeah.
Before I left my job, I had to finish up a murder case. To be able to run for judge, I got to take a leave of absence. So before I left, and part of the reason why I didn't leave until I did was because I had a young man. He was charged with a murder that was committed back in 2013. Dude been in jail the whole time, right? I inherited this case from somebody else. Now, it's nobody's fault necessarily that it took this long to get to trial. It was there was issues that went up to the Supreme Court. There was issues that came back. It was things that needed to be severed. It was all kind of stuff. So I mean, it was going through the motions, going through the process. And then we had the jury issue when it was set. I don't know if y'all remember that. It was like something in Baton Rouge. They caught the glitch in the system where nobody under a certain age.
I remember that.
Right. Yeah, they weren't even getting subpoenaed to come out to jury duty. So trial had to be reset for that. So anyway, we set for trial finally. And I remember I made this dude an offer. Dude didn't want to take the offer, whatever. So we just rolling through it, and all right, we getting there, and I'm saying, all right, you want your trial date? I will give you your trial date. You are constitutionally entitled to your trial date. I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna give you exactly what you want. So we rolling through it, and we get halfway through the trial. Apparently, I had a couple of witnesses that he just didn't think I was gonna get. People come. First man came in and testified. All right. Second man came in an orange jumpsuit. He was already doing time for armed robbery. Came in through the back. He didn't think I was going to have him. I'm like, man, I don't, here. At that point, man was like, look, bro, come on. What you going to offer me now? Now, I can't offer him the same 25.
Right.
The man ended up having to take 37. I didn't feel good about him taking that 37 because this is a young man who's 24 years old plus another 37 years of his life. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. There's no winners here. I got a young man that the system has failed so far before to actually bring him to this situation. He got a mama, he got a daddy, he got a brother, he got a sister. If he had any kids before he got arrested, I don't know. But I'm saying these are families. There are collateral consequences to everything, right? Mm-hmm. So when you think about it like that, ain't no winners in here.
Which is why my ultimate point is, as eloquently as you said everything, from my experience, a lot of prosecutors have the demeanor of wanting a conviction.
Yeah. Right.
Not wanting the best outcome for the individual. And that's why justice is having both sides of the coin. Mm-hmm. Because you need a defense attorney to hold the prosecutors and the DA's office accountable.
I'm not gonna say that I'm not gonna sit here and act all naive.
Like that's part of the process.
Here. So I get it.
Yeah.
And like I just wish people didn't have the attitude like you can't take the human element out of it.
Right.
And I personally, and that's what I'm saying. You're right. I agree with you, Jay. I think that's a problem.
I agree with everything you're saying, but what I'm saying is for every instance where, you talked about the rape and you talked about all that stuff, and it happens. I believe that. I also have represented people, and I've seen situations where, where it was physically impossible for this dude for this rape supposedly to have went down the way it went down.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that at the trial because I didn't have time because I had 200 felony cases
Yeah.
to drive out in the middle of nowhere to go look at it. And the reason why the guy was found not guilty is because those people were from around that area, and they knew that they couldn't have went down like that, and the jury came back not guilty.
Right.
And that guy sat in jail for 4 years.
That's crazy.
See, that's the type of thing though. It's like if the prosecutor knows that information, man, cut this thing loose. You know, like what are you doing?
And that prosecutor was from that parish,
Yeah.
and he wanted his conviction.
Yeah, I ain't with that.
So before we move on to talking about running for judge, being a prosecutor back home in the city, and you know, we are always up there with crime, murder, everything else. How did that impact you as a black man, and seeing, you know, we always have top 5, top 10 murders and all kind of other crimes sometimes. How does that impact you, seeing a lot of our young black men going to jail?
I'm gonna give you three different instances, specific instances. So first, I'm doing what they call magistrate court. That's basically in New Orleans is first appearances. So cats get arrested. Within a certain amount of time, they got to come in. They got to see the magistrate judge. They're getting their bond set or whatever. And it's funny. So I'm in magistrate court, setting the bonds, whoop-de-whoop. One of my partners, Pills, nickname Pills. David Duran is his name. I don't know if y'all probably don't know Pills. But I'm just saying that because somebody out there might know Pills. Y'all tell him I started talking about him. Pills comes through there, and he tells me straight up, and he whispers in my ear, he said, man, you out here working for them people. And the way he says it, though, it was like, it was joking, but it was serious, you know, and it's like, come on, man, I got to do what I got to do, man, you know. Don't give me a hard time, basically, right? Cool. One instance. So, again, this is one of my peers, one of my colleagues. We went to high school together. We played ball together, right? Cool. Let that go. Incident number 2. Now, this one, I'm not going to say his name, but this is one of my partners. He came through in orange out the back. Another guy that I played ball with. He comes in on a weed charge, of all things. Possession of marijuana at that. And at first I didn't recognize him. It was when I saw his mom sitting in the back, and I looked at her, and I was like, you know, and she was kind of like down, a little depressed, like, and I was like, what you doing here? You know? And she looked at me, and she was like, oh, well, my son, you know? And then I looked, and I'm like, man, what you doing in here, bro? Like, what you doing to your mama? Like, come on, man. Anyway, we worked through that. That's incident number 2. Incident number 3, it was my very first attempted murder trial in New Orleans. My very first attempted murder trial. And the guy, the defendant, I ain't gonna say his name either. He was charged with shooting a guy 7 times, right, in the streets. And it was I tell you, it was Valence and Magnolia. They affectionately call that the Hole, back in that area. If you're from uptown, you might know. Well, I spent a lot of time uptown. Like I was basically kind of halfway raised uptown, going to McMain and whatnot. And then Valence and LaSalle, I stayed there for a little while. Robert and Willow, I stayed there, which is around the corner. And then back down Upper Line and Magazine in that area with my grandma. But I'm saying all this just to give you the setup, like, I'm in this neighborhood where the shooting actually happened. Well, it turns out the dude that did the shooting, he was the grandson of a lady that I actually worked with on one of my first jobs as a caterer. And me and her was good people. So she would doing the jobs, like, and she would, my aunt had the catering business. She would get all of the synagogue work. Mm-hmm. So the Passovers, the whatever parties, like she would do all of that, cooking all the kosher food. That's why I got a little culture in me, you know what I'm saying? Learning about that stuff. But anyway, well, I ain't gonna say her name neither, but she would always put aside the filet mignon and some of the noodle cougar and the spinach and artichoke hearts with the hollandaise sauce. Like she would do all of that for me. So we was good.
Right.
It was her grandson that did this. Now, I don't really know this cat. So during the trial, I'm working the trial. I'm doing my thing. I get to closing argument. Now, y'all probably don't know nothing about this. I'm gonna take a path off of here while I'm telling you about how that actually works out. I'm gonna deviate for a second and say that in trial work, especially in New Orleans, they was big on, all right, first close, you got to be cookie cutter. You got to just say, and these are the elements, and this is what we prove, and this is that, and sit down. Right? Because what they'll say is, you don't want to give the defense attorney any ammunition or anything to use. I'm like, man, that's stupid, man. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Yeah.
Because real talk, I'm from the school of what it was, like when y'all saw 8 Mile. Y'all remember when Eminem went first?
Yeah.
And he killed him.
Yeah.
I'm from that school.
Yeah.
I'm going to murder you right now. I'm talking about with these bars, right? I'm going to bar you to death in my closing argument at first close. Now, I'm going to cover the elements, but I'm going to bar you to death first. And then you going to get up here and you going to get in your second close and you're going to say exactly what I just said you were going to say, right? And then after that, whoever is coming down to do the rebuttal, if they're good enough, it's a rebuttal close. Go to work. This is how I look at it. So when I do my closing argument, and this is why it's important to tell y'all about this, the whole thing, I went off. I mean, I went bananas, ham, right? People in the audience didn't like some of this stuff. In fact, I had quoted in the paper. One of my best friend's moms, she was telling me about it. She read it in the paper, some of my quotes, and she was like, yeah, man, you killed that. And she's in like Lake Charles. So I went in and I started talking about some of the issues and the problems, like, because again, I'm familiar with the area. So this is how it all relates back.
Right.
Guys convicted. There was some people in the audience. It's Mardi Gras later on that year. And, you know, we normally be at the family house, walk down to Napoleon Avenue, catch the parades. And this is Mardi Gras Day, right? We might get down to, I want to say it's Clara and Jackson Avenue. That's where we catch Zulu at 8 a.m. Then we walk all the way back. We'll be back at the house, try to get something to eat. We try to catch Rex, you know, all of that stuff. And then walk back out on Napoleon. Well, it just so happens, I'm getting mean mugged. I'm walking past the house, and I'm getting mean mugged. Like you know how they say if looks could kill?
Yeah.
Like, it was like that. Like, I would have been dead, like, on the street, right? And I didn't really catch, like, who is this? It little red chick, right? So then we get out on Napoleon. It's the same little chick, and now she out there with a family, and somebody was even like saying something. But you know how you see somebody saying something, but you don't really know what they're saying, and you just like, man, I don't know what them dudes.
Right.
I ain't worried about them people. So I catch up with one of my cousins, and my cousin, she tell me, oh no, that's such and such auntie, or that's such and such mama. And I'm sitting there like, and then that's when she explained the relationship. Well, you know, the dude that you just got convicted, that was such and such grandson. Right. And I'm just sitting there like, my mouth dropped. So in all three of those instances, it further brought home to me how close all of this is. The crime epidemic, the faultiness in the criminal justice system. How I'm looking at one of my partners who's sitting in jail on a weed charge, right? Got his mama crying, wondering what's happening with my son, what's happening with my baby. Dude that I went to school in McMain. I mean, you know, back in the day, McMain was not a slap whatever school.
Right.
It was still a man school. It was about something. My other partner, oh man, you working with the people, you know, joking, but still meaning something. So all three of those things connected. It meant something. And when my dad, he pulled me to the side and he said, Will, I saw, because he read the comments in the paper, he was like, I saw, you know, you did your thing, but always remember where you from. This is what he told me. And it stuck with me. So how it actually affected me is, I still go ham. But when I was a prosecutor, I was still going ham on people. Like, don't get it twisted.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer in we don't need murderers out here murdering people. We don't need armed robbers out here robbing old ladies, grabbing their purses, kicking in your auntie door and all that other stuff. And we definitely don't need no rapists. I'm a firm believer in that. So, I mean, if that's what you're doing and I got you in my sights, I'm sorry for you because it's about to happen.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it helped. It really, really helped me to bring out more of that empathy. You know what I'm saying? And if there is something that I can do, because there's not a case that I've gone into where I'm not gonna make an offer. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's there, there's not a case that I'll go into that I won't make an offer. Because at the end of the day, what are we looking at? Are we looking at 10, 15, 20, 30 years? All of those are not insignificant amounts of time.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? So when you compare that on a scale, it's like, well, what do you want? What really is justice? But I've learned, again, because, man, the trial work that I got in the first 3 years, man, it's crazy, man. The jury work that I did in the first 3 years is crazy. Like, I've seen a lot. Mm-hmm. So it's like I'm learning to see the person that wants to just rain chaos down on everybody, the real criminal, and the other 85, 90% of people that's just real stupid and just need a second chance.
Right.
So yeah, that's how it affected me being back in the city.
Gotcha.
With all that story.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more right after this. All right, everybody, we are back. So, Will, what inspired you to run for judge, and what kind of impact do you plan to make from the bench?
You was an Uncle Phil fan, huh?
I ain't gonna lie, you know that I'm gonna make you laugh. Y'all know the memes about the dads if you get a bad grade in school, which one you don't want to go to, and it's
Uncle Phil.
I want to say Carl
Winslow.
I want to say it was James from Good Times.
Yeah.
And I can't remember. I think it might have been Bill.
I think it was Bill.
Might have been Bill.
I don't want to go to James. That's what I'm not trying to say.
You definitely ain't going to James. You definitely ain't going to James.
Yeah.
But I say all that to say, like, even in that setup or whatever, it's like Uncle Phil is like your reasonable one. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
That's the pop that, all right, we can at least probably talk some stuff out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then obviously, the episode of Fresh Prince when his daddy, why my daddy don't want me, and they had that.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
know that one, right? That's the one. And everybody's like, oh man, Uncle Phil, he the man. I love my dad, but I'm just saying.
He brought up sitcoms. We got a sitcom question for you later, but we're not going to
Come on.
bring it up right now.
Come on, we can do that. We can do that later on. But but no, what makes me what made me want to run for judge?
I hate y'all.
What made me want to run for judge? To be quite honest with you, man, I never really wanted to seek any office. It might sound cliche. I'm not a politician. Yes, I was in law school. I was the 1L class president. I was SBA vice president. Those are things of convenience. There was a need, some leadership. All right, some opportunities to like help facilitate some things with your classmates. Cool. But actually, like going through this, I didn't want to be a judge. It's not like I just said on the forefront when I'm in law school, I'm going to be a judge one day. But what brought me to this point, and it's funny, because I say about law school stuff, I was also elected twice in my 8-9 year career as a prosecutor as the president of the National Black Prosecutors Association. Now, as the head of that organization, we are the only organization that is African Americans that is all about the promotion and the retention of the African American prosecutors. So all of those other stories that I was telling y'all about early, it's like a natural fit, right? So in 2012 is when I joined that organization. And it kind of goes in line when I first ran for something even in that, I ran for the regional director spot. Cool. I was a regional director over Louisiana, Texas, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. And in that position, you kind of coordinating with different prosecutors' offices. You're seeing who are the black prosecutors in these different states. You're seeing what assists you can put out there. What are some of the issues that people are seeing that they're facing every single day, right? Cool. So the progression, I went from regional director, and we started the Black Prosecutors of Louisiana, the Louisiana Black Prosecutors chapter. We started that here, and it was comprised of the prosecutors from New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and we even had membership in Shreveport. Cool. And even though I'm starting all this saying I never wanted to run for office, but there is a need. There is a recurring theme in all of these, and you're going to see there is a need for competent leadership, right? And I was a vice president of that. Cool. Fast forward to, it was the summer of 2016. And the National Black Prosecutors Conference is in St. Louis. It was at that conference when we're getting there. We had a great president before, Miss Melba Pearson. She's awesome. And I mean, she had really taken the organization, in my opinion, to the next level. Financially, just setting up different programs, whatever. At that point in time, Melba was term limited, so she couldn't run again. And again, surveying the landscape, you're seeing this great organization now, and I'm gonna give you a little bit more on this one. In 2012, I'm a prosecutor in New Orleans. I don't know if y'all heard the stories. I know y'all heard a couple of my stories, but I don't know if y'all heard other stories about what it was to be a prosecutor in New Orleans. That is the definition of sink or swim, right? I was a misdemeanor assistant, and this may not mean anything to any of y'all or the listeners. I was a misdemeanor assistant for exactly 1 month in New Orleans. Exactly 1 month in New Orleans before they brought me up to felonies. Motion hearing, to actually determine probable cause, motion to suppress, any of that stuff, man, there's no practice in none of that. If it's on the docket, you go do it, right? Trials that are set that week, you better be ready. You know what I'm saying? You coming in on the weekends, you got to work your stuff up. You're not leaving till 8 o'clock at night. You're getting there at 7 o'clock in the morning. Mm-hmm. Like, it is the definition of sink or swim. You got mental competency hearings. You better figure it out, what questions you're supposed to ask these doctors. You name it. You have to deal with it. Sink or swim. So taking all of that into consideration, this is not 2012. I've only been a prosecutor for a year. I'm having some reservations about this. I know I can do it, but it's like, man, I don't know if I'm with this, right? So here comes none. You know what I'm saying? The training was gone. You know, you got no social life. You're drinking heavy. You know what I'm saying?
Crime.
Exactly. So now we get to 2012. The National Black Prosecutors Association is having the conference in New Orleans that year. A good friend of mine, Ron Gath, who's from the Baton Rouge office, Baton Rouge area, who I consider one of my mentors. He reaches out to us down in New Orleans. He's like, look, this conference is going to be here. Y'all going to be on the host committee. So now we got to put a conference together. When we put the conference together, you know, we have to arrange different events, help put CLEs together, all of that type of stuff, right? And it was a wonderful experience because, again, when all of these people come in from all across the country, I mean, you're meeting some real exceptional, phenomenal people. And it was at that conference that I got that breath of life that, I could do this. Like there's more meaning to what you're doing. There was a guy that came and presented, Greg Rhodes, a phenomenal prosecutor from out of the New Orleans area, but he was also in Denver, I want to say. And I mean, the dude is bad. You know, I want to say we had Tony Clayton come down there and talk about voir dire. You know, and I mean, that was some. He was exuding that swag. You know, y'all know Tony, right? So I mean, it was at that conference. I was like, man, this is dope. I could really, really do this. Like, forget all of the other foolishness. Let's just go dive in on being you and really helping. Like, dive in. So again, I had to tell that story to get to 2016 when I survey and I see the need. So that's when I run for president. I'm elected. The people, even though I'm a young guy, I just been in the organization maybe 4 years, the membership saw enough in me, right? So we continue to grow the organization. They liked what I did, the direction that I brought the organization. Mm-hmm. They elected me again for a second term. Now, obviously, that summer of 2016 was a bad summer in Baton Rouge for all of us, right?
Yeah.
So to be able to, and then that was also on the heels of Mike Brown. Like I told you, we was in St. Louis and Ferguson. So again, we're at the forefront of all of this stuff. And I believe, I guess that's probably another reason why the people thought, all right, this might be the right guy to lead our organization. And I'll tell you this about that organization. We don't go to the table, as they say, with criminal justice reform. We set the table on some of those issues. Mm-hmm. So when we put on our CLEs every year, like we're talking about bail reform issues and what we're really looking at. We're talking about reentry issues and what we're really looking at. We're talking about domestic violence and different programs and different initiatives that are best practices across the country. So we're doing all of these things, right? In fact, I even started under my watch, we started the Domestic Violence Symposium, that forum. And that's something that we've continued now. It was domestic violence in the workplace. Mm-hmm. And we're actually talking about, we had the different topics or whatever and discussing. And we're really bringing to a head certain issues. We've got some great corporate sponsorships even with that. Verizon has been a sponsor. The NFL as an entity has been a sponsor, right? Shout out to Deborah Latouche out of the San Diego DA's office. She's the one who helped facilitate all of that and who still runs the DV Forum going forward. Shout out to Carmen Leinberger, who runs our CLE coordinator. She's out of the U.S. Attorney's Office in Miami. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying all that because it's like I'm in there with all of these people, and they selected me to be their leader, right? Twice. Cool. Fast forward. So now I've had that position. I've had all these other elected positions. Never once really seeking things out. Mm-hmm. It's just surveying the landscape and seeing a need. So now we come to the summer of 2019 here in Baton Rouge, and we have another judge that is retired. Mike Irwin retired. It was August 1st, I want to say was his last day, or July 31st, something like that. With him go 28 some odd years of being on the bench. Look at the landscape. I look at what's going on. I see a need. I have the ideas. I've got the experience. I'm in the courtroom every single day. To me, it's almost, I would be insulting the people if I don't run. Mm-hmm. I would be selfish if I don't put myself out there to say, all right, the citizens of Baton Rouge, I'm ready. I'll heed your call. You need some consistency. You need some of these ideas. You need some of these experiences. You need that on the bench. I would be selfish if I were to just sit back and say, nah, y'all can have that.
Right.
I'm going to go stick in whatever I'm doing. I'm just going to stay over here. I'm section chief, section 7. You know, I got my little world. Mm-hmm. This is my little thing. I run this section, how I'm gonna do it. We're gonna prosecute the violent offenders, which is what we do. We're gonna see if we can get some mitigation for some of these minor guys, see if we can cut some stuff out. But again, stay in that little world, right, as opposed to now get on the bench to really be able to effectuate more positive change. So that's why I want to do this.
Gotcha.
Man, respect, bro.
Thank you.
That's, you know, it says something that you can be convicted enough to take that on. So, mad respect, bro.
I appreciate that. And it's hard too, man, because when I'm getting out here, one of the things, you know, the naysayers will tell you all the time, I just don't know Will. You know, they won't tell me that. They'll say somebody else, I just don't know him. I don't know. I'm like, no offense, but if you 68 years old, I'm 38. Like I don't think you're not gonna know me. Yeah. Like, no offense. Like, really, we just running in different circles a little bit. And again, as a prosecutor, and it's not even that, because even if there's some young people that be like, well, I don't really know this dude like that. I'm like, well, you might not, because, you know, I'm keeping my head down and I'm grinding. You know, I mean, I hate to say it, I'm not able to make it to a whole lot of the different activities, but you can't. I figure, you know, you can't challenge my what I actually do in the community, because I mean, even with that, we've started with Black Prosecutors. We started a bunch of different initiatives. You know, we did the Real Talk About the Law program, the very first one. It was a nationwide program with the National Black Prosecutors Association. The very first one with the national rollout was here in Baton Rouge. We did it at McKinley High School. And since then, we've done maybe eight different schools. So where we're going in, we bring prosecutors, defense attorneys, judges, community leaders, etc. We bring them into the classroom, and we're having real conversations with students and kids about what they think about the law, issues they may be having, etc. So, I mean, you know, we've done that. We do a junior DA program. That's another national program that we started.
Right.
Where we actually bring in these 8th grade students and expose them to different experiences. You know, it's a 2-week program, so we get that done, where they're going through the court system, they're meeting different law enforcement, they're seeing trials if any are going on. It's all of that, etc. Another one, I did the Community Police Ambassador Training Program. I actually came up with that myself, if y'all are familiar with that program. And that was, I think we ended up cutting it down to 4 weeks, but we met twice a week. And we went through the nuts and bolts of the criminal justice system, from the know your rights, implicit bias, I mean, appeals, bonds. We went through all of that, in addition to whatever other community service activities that we were doing. I'm like, so I'll tell you right now, look, I put my record up against anybody, especially in the community.
That confidence.
Absolutely. You know I got that.
That no confidence.
All right, brother. Let's switch this up a little bit. We told you we was going to ask you about it.
Come on.
So let's go ahead and dive in and ask you about it. What are your top 5 black sitcoms?
Top five. The movie, the Chris Rock movie. I don't know if y'all saw top 5, but anyway, that was when he was talking about the top 5. I want to say the comedians. Top 5: Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Bam.
Martin. I know he's taboo, but it's the Cosby Show.
I mean, you grew up on that.
You grew up on it. Like
that's not gonna change.
I have to be able to separate the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had that conversation all the time.
I have to be able to separate the two. If I can't separate the two, now there's another one out there that I don't think we can separate the two. And should I even say his name?
Nah.
All right, I ain't even gonna say his name, but he
going.
not even
We had that conversation too.
You know what I'm saying? But we ain't allowing to separate him. I'm just saying. But in this instance, I'm separating. So I said Martin. I said Fresh Prince. I said Cosby Show. The next two.
George over there waiting for you to say a certain show.
See, this is
I'm
the
just
thing.
curious.
No, I'm gonna give
let
you.
me
I
finish.
got 2 on my mind right now,
Okay.
and one of them is a spinoff from the Cosby Show, and that's A Different World.
Yeah, Different World is a great sitcom.
I'm gonna tell you why I say A Different World. A different world. A different world. In and of itself, I think it was a fine show. I think they were trying to find themselves the first couple of seasons. I think that's obvious, like with any show. But what I really, really liked about A Different World was it brought a different perspective. That's one of my favorite words to the black college experience, right? I mean, there's a lot of people that went to college because they wanted to go to Hillman. You know what I'm saying?
It was better when they made it about Dwayne and Whitley versus the
It was. No, I agree with that. When Marissa Tomei was on there, people don't remember that she was actually on there. But no, I'm kind of with that. When it was Dwayne and Whitley, that was
It's a better show.
the main characters.
I'm gonna still take the niece all day.
Well, that's because they couldn't do the show like they wanted to, because the young lady that played Denise was inconsistent.
Right.
At that point.
All of that's true.
Yeah.
Two things can be true.
Away the fact that Denise was bad.
Yeah.
two things can be true.
Man, Denise was okay.
Man, get out of here.
But to end it up, my last one in those 5, Family Matters.
Family Matters made top 5 again, bro.
Family
I don't know what to say.
See,
This dude says Family Matters is better than Martin.
To me, it was.
see, nobody
No.
is let's be
Yeah.
clear.
Nobody
Nobody has
has an
ever
issue.
said that Family Matters can't be in the top 5.
And you know what?
That it's a bad show. But to say that Family Matters is better than Martin,
Hey man, you know what? I'm okay if I'm on the island by myself on this. I'm good with that.
Let me
I'm cool.
let me come back on this too, because I feel like there might have been some error bias in my answers, because I didn't mention Good Times. I didn't mention What's
Jeffersons.
Happening. I didn't mention The Jeffersons. All of these shows I can still watch now on TV One, and I will put them on like late at night, and I mean I get into it, right?
But I would think the shows you mentioned had more of an impact because you grew up with.
Exactly,
Right.
and that's why I want to make sure that the listeners out there
Right.
they understand why I said it the way I said it. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, what am I actually growing up to? It was like Family Matters has got to be in there because it was TGI Friday. It was to me that was the anchor show.
Right.
You know, what was it?
Boy Meets World, I think was the other.
I think
show.
Boy Meets World was in there.
Full House was in there.
Full House was in there, and it was was it
Cooper was on there
it
for a minute,
Wings,
too.
and it was a few different shows that came in and out of there. But I remember it was what they call it, Urkel. They ain't even call it Family Matters. A lot of people call it Urkel. Y'all gonna watch Urkel?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that was a cultural movement to see that show. So that's why it's in there. Martin, obvious reasons why it's in there. Like he was Def Comedy Jam on TV.
Right.
Like nobody else did that. Not for a sitcom. Cosby Show, like we said, obvious reasons. Different World, like I said, for those reasons. And then Fresh Prince. I mean, come on, everybody know what Fresh Prince was. So yeah, that's my top 5.
Hey,
In no particular order.
Well, nah. It's Family Matters. Strong top, at least 3.
all I want to know is Family Matters better than Martin? To you.
He already said no.
Is Family Matters better than Martin?
It's a thought.
Initially, you said no.
No, I mean, look, you gotta
trying
be
to think it
thoughtful.
through?
You have to be thoughtful in all of your
Trying to be
responses.
considerate of GP's feelings.
Man, look, this man is gonna be the next judge.
See, well, let me
He's
tell you.
great at making decisions.
Let me tell you this. The blemish on Martin,
See,
his run wasn't that long.
Oh.
It was only so many seasons. And part of the problem why it was only so many seasons was because of the issues with Martin and Gina, right? So everybody know that Martin and Tisha Campbell. So like that last season when they started focusing on, it was whole episodes when it's about Pam,
Right.
whole episodes when it's about Cole.
Yeah, that,
like,
I mean, that last season, you can throw that
but
out.
but that's
Yeah,
but that's
yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying. You know what I'm saying?
But,
So
but
because
the
of
last
that
couple
hurts.
seasons of Family Matters, was that even worth watching?
Family Matters have more seasons.
I mean, it's
The last
probably.
season of Family Matters was pretty bad.
Wait, that's the same argument that you'll make when you do your best rappers. You know what I'm saying? Well, it's your body of work. Like
Yeah.
if that's one of the categories, if we talk about body of work, like that's why a lot of people can't put Biggie at number 1. Now I have no problem with still considering him for the number 1 spot, but I'm just saying with the overall body of work, I understand the argument.
Right.
So looking at the same thing, I would still say Martin was better. I said all that to say to cover it, but
I
Martin
mean,
was better.
that's fair. You know,
Martin was
I'm, with
better.
you. I'm good standing on the island by myself. I'm cool with that.
It's all right. I just want to acknowledge that we've been asking this for a while.
Hey, man.
Wait,
And
what
you
it,
are on the
look,
island.
well, I'm gonna tell you the answer. This is your answer, bro. You go and look on TV One right now. You go and look on BET right now, and what you gonna be able to see reruns of?
Fresh Prince and Martin.
Hey, that's fine.
That's your answer.
I'm good.
You
know
can't
what?
even catch Family Matters. You got to go on your Fire Stick or something to catch Family Matters.
That's true.
Hey, man,
Think about it.
I'm on the island. BET not on my island. TV Land and TV One not on my
saying,
island. You know, I'm good with being over here by myself.
Okay, man.
That's fine. So
Whatever. All right, everybody. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with this black prominent figure. You know we're going to do this all year round, not just during Black History Month. And we're going to give it to you right after this. All right, everybody, we're black.
We're black. Yes, we all
We
black.
all black. That's true.
All of us are black. Yeah.
But we're also back with our black prominent figure. GP, who do you have for us, brother?
Well, you know, I always try to pick an appropriate person. So with our last spirited conversation, I just wanted to highlight one, Reginald Vell Johnson. And Reginald Vell Johnson is you know, he's famous for the 2 Die Hard movies, but most importantly, he was the dad and star of the TV show Family Matters, which ran for 9 years. Had a good run. One of the best sitcoms ever.
So you thought that was more important than letting people know who the first black judge was?
Man, we've already given it to him in the past, bro.
It's
Reginald
okay.
Vell Johnson,
What
man.
about the
Black
first
excellence.
black Supreme Court justice? The first black judge in Baton Rouge?
I mean, we can.
Joe said that was not important.
Who also
Important
used to be
talking
our
about-
chancellor, by the way,
Well,
of the SULC.
I mean, you kind of set the table, brother. So why don't we go ahead? We have 2 black prominent figures this
No,
week.
man, no.
Now, you
We going
brought
with
it up.
Reginald, because that's what you wanted to do.
Family Matters.
Hey,
You heard it first, people. Please send your complaints to what's your Instagram?
Don't send that shit to me.
Yeah, slide in his DM.
Right.
That's GP.
Don't slide.
Right.
Oh man, Will,
What's up, baby?
tell the people how they can find you, how they can
Support you.
support you.
All right. Y'all gotta forgive me, cause I got an Instagram, but I'm terrible, cause I don't know the name, and it's not even on this phone. It's on my other phone.
Get it for his brother, and
But,
we'll post that later.
But I want to say, well, GP, you got it, I think, because I think you follow me on that.
That's
I
true.
think it's Black Action 11. Yes, that is my Instagram. And then for the campaign,
Black action.
Black Action 11, baby.
Went off that name.
There's a story for that one too. But I want to say
Black_Action 11.
that is Black_Action 11. That's my Instagram. But if you want to follow the campaign, I believe it's Will Jorden for District Judge. Just type that in the search, and I think you'll be able to find that. Hold on, what
I
is
got
it?
it from me. Jorden for District Judge.
Bam.
No underscore.
And remember how to spell the name. It's with
I
an
was just gonna
E-N.
say that.
It's with an E-N.
Not an A-N.
I'm special like that.
Not
It's
like
with an
Michael.
E-N. On Facebook, that one is Will Jorden for District Judge. You can find me on Facebook. Find the campaign on that one. And then it's also jordanforjudge.com. JORDEN. jordanforjudge.com. If you want to volunteer, if you want to support the campaign in any way, just remember, I personally cannot solicit funds, and I'm not even going to try to do that at this point in time. But whatever information that is about the campaign, all of that is on the website. So we need your support. We can't make this happen. We can't effectuate this change without you. So please go to the website, everybody, and check us out.
And as always, please subscribe to the Reserve Man Podcast.
Come on.
Hit us up at the Reserve Man on Instagram with any questions or comments or complaints about our black prominent figure. All right. Y'all got anything, fellas?
Nah, brother, I'm good. I'm
Everybody good?
That would stop hating on Carl, bro.
Nah, ain't nobody.
Carl was cool, man.
Ain't nobody hating. We acknowledge.
We had a
the
whole
was
show
good.
about judges, man. And we have a future black judge here.
Come
and
on.
you want to talk about Carl Winslow. That's it, man. We out.
I did it.
You know your credit score bad. I'm not surprised you on the Starbucks page. That's solid quality time. Why does Steve Harvey still writing books when it's Wall Street? Wait a minute. Like, if I want you, I ain't say you to Waffle House at 2 a.m. Bullshit. Hey, look, I care about you.